Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Tennessee Titans pulled out a Monday Night Football thriller in Miami, trailed by 14 in the fourth quarter after two turnovers led to two quick Dolphins touchdowns, and then scoring 15 points in the final 3 minutes to win 28-27 over the Dolphins. Will Levis orchestrating both touchdown drives, the second one capped by a Derrick Henry score. It was a fired-up Levis at the end of the game. Mike Vrabel met with the media earlier today and was asked about that contagious energy from his rookie quarterback.
Well, I think the energy and fire, is critical throughout, the roster and the staff and the organization, and just being able to, to do that. I think that, leadership from the quarterback position is always going to be, important. It's always going to be critical. Rally and inspire a football team. Obviously, it's a critical position. So, I think he'll continue to do that in his own particular way.
Career night for Levis, 327 yards on 23 of 38 passing with a touchdown and an interception. The first rookie quarterback in NFL history to throw for 300 yards on Monday Night Football. Harold Landry also with the career night with 3 sacks as the Titans improve to 5-8, pick up their first road win of the season, and head into a short week getting ready to host the Texans on Sunday. Tonight, the 12th-ranked Tennessee Vols hit the hardwood to host winless Georgia Southern. It's a 6 p.m. tip-off. Vol Network coverage on The Zone will pick up at 7 following Mac Talk. The Nashville Predators will look to stay hot tonight as they host the Philadelphia Flyers at Bridgestone Arena, a 7 p.m. puck drop. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Well, just when you think you got things figured out, last night happened. We got a couple guests today. We got Coach Mack. We got John Glennon. So we're going to have some fun and talk Titans with them. But I want total honesty from people today. I want to know how many people, either after Garrett fumbled the punt or after the pitch that went awry that led to it, I want to know how many people said, screw it, turned off the TV, turned off the radio, went to bed, went to the bar, went to the whatever.
Well, I think I thought that way because I quickly then fell asleep. I was like, I didn't fight it anymore. I just said, dang, man. But naturally, going into the game, I didn't think they have a shot. But they came up with a great defensive game plan, and those guys played like they had fire in their butts up front. Now, and we're going to talk about the Dolphins had 3 guys missing on the offensive line, let alone their skill guys, in and out or whatever you want to do with that. But at the end of the day, they had Tua confused. Got some breaks here or there. Great decisions by Coach Vrabel going for the 2-point. That was huge. The block field goal actually, that pretty much won the game to me in my mind earlier in the game. But, so there's some things. But they withstood the time. And then Will Levis, it is now, to me, completely Will Levis's team. Now, did he make some mistakes? Absolutely. And one thing I'm going to say is, and a lot of people are not going to like it, you need to stop freaking trying to tackle people.
Yeah.
Sorry. Dive at their shoestrings if you want to be Mr. Hero, because Mr. Hero going to be a 0 if you ain't out there, and then you won't have your job. So that's how you kind of explain it to guys who are very competitive, and I completely understand being a competitor. But we need you on the offense. So you dive at his ankles or something like that. Don't be trying to hit no lineman, shoulder bump. Now, you need that shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get that out the way and make sure of that. And we saw the ebbs and flows of Will Levis, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and then the great.
Yeah.
See? That's why you have to – and I think they only let this play out this way because they thought they needed to score points. See? So you got to let him make his mistakes so he can see it for himself. You could tell him till he's blue in his face. Yeah. Think about you're talking to your kid. Until he does make that mistake, is he going to believe it and realize that I can't do that? This all happened in the game, and then he drove him right down and scored to win the game. See? I bet he's looking at it. I'm sure he could say after every game, oh, I got to play better. I need to do this. Yeah, well, you do. So, this was Will Levis's coming out party, would say, really turning the corner and everybody getting to see that his arm talent is special. It is, man. He was backpedaling, throwing the ball. The one he threw the Spears where he was in traffic. And it wasn't like they were blocking great. They were blocking good enough.
Yeah.
So he could, get some plays. Naturally, Hopkins was, fascinating. Ben Hopkins against some of the elite corners in the National Football League, by the way. Xavier Howard is no slouch, let alone we all know Jalen Ramsey where he's at. The red zone defense was great. At least they didn't give up touchdowns every time. I think they stopped them 3 times on field goals off count, but they're a little bit off the cuff. So that's kind of how I feel. Will Levis, Hopkins, Spears, and then the front 4 getting after it in the disguise and the scheme by the coaching staff for the defense. It looked like they were playing a lot of cover 2, like I initially said, but with different personnel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what I said to do. I didn't know how they were going to do it. I was just guessing. I don't get to go over to the facility and watch them practice or any of that. So, and they had a great shot, and they stay in this game. And then it started off weird with all those injuries to the Dolphins. And that just was like, oh, this is odd.
Yeah.
And the game felt flat. And guess what? That's exactly where the Titans wanted to do.
Oh, sure.
So, man, tip the cap to the coaching staff, the players who executed, guys playing freely, still making mistakes. I love how Vrabel approached Guerrero after he make how you pronounce his name? Guerrero?
Like Terror.
Terror. All right, Guerrero. And him on the snafu there. He's been returning punts for a long time. He thought he could get it on a bump, on a bounce. And the guy grabbed his arm, and then it kind of messed it up. And he had a discussion with him. Again, you got to have a discussion. Say, well, no, you're not supposed to do that. I think you know that, but I'm going to tell you again, since you didn't do that, you don't get a clean bounce, clear, and use that's in the middle of the field, not on the side. You can't do that. So, but in a calm but yet stern conversation. See, this is how you got to talk to these players today. Hey, man, we can't have that. We didn't have that discussion 50 billion times, and I don't think I need to even be having this discussion. Mm-hmm. And you're like, my bad, won't happen again. And then, because then he came out there and almost bobbled the next one. So that was it. So I think he's a strong-minded player, though, because you can't get to where he's at being undrafted without being. Mm-hmm. So that helps him along the way. So that means he probably wasn't as coddled as much as an athlete throughout his career. That's just a guess because of where he's coming from and school he played at and wasn't highly recruited. He had to earn everything he got. And guess what? This is not an opportunity. I made a mistake, but I can't respond. Mm-hmm. And he did. So, and then Will Levis got the ball, and they drove right down in him and D-Hop. Good Lord, man. Dang, that was... I told you, D-Hop he knows the little nuances on the game. Here's a good example. On the deep ball, the last one that he caught on Howard.
Yeah.
He grabbed Howard's arm. Howard had it knocked down.
Yeah.
He grabbed his arm. Like if it was the other way around and the defensive player would have grabbed his arm, that's my sort of thing. So little bitty things to help him, and then his tightrope on the sideline in his hands. That's his greatness. That's what he brings to the table. So yeah, man, it was exciting to see that they went. I know some people, didn't want them to see a win because of draft position, and they're not probably a playoff contending team. But it's still positive in the development of where not only Levis, but the offensive linemen. I think we're starting to see that some guys are getting a little bit better and that they potentially can be good, solid, maybe starters or backups in this league. In particular, Duncan. I mean, okay, maybe he's a front side tackle. Maybe he's not a blind side tackle starter if he keeps getting better. I'm not saying he did great. He had some things he did well, and naturally, but you felt comfortable. He wasn't getting drove into the quarterback like Dillard. So I feel like some things, are getting better, but it may not result in victories as this one did. But so I think we're in a good position. You draft that blindside tackle and you sign a free agent guard or tackle, however you want to look at it. And I think you could be off to the races with the offensive line. So, Henry was Henry. But, man, that toss pitch, I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Levis. And I'm going to say this. I love Levis's energy and passion for the game. I really do. This is going to sound really weird. But I don't want my quarterback. And I know Tom Brady did it. He's the GOAT. Think about most quarterbacks. I still want him to stay calm, cool, and collective throughout the process. Maybe when you're going down the tunnel into the locker room. But I know he came off the sideline and he should be excited. But I'm talking about throughout the game. There's sometimes that passion can lead him to bad throws. So you got to learn to be I guess, calm through the storm and excitement as well, but be that confident leader without showing so many emotions. Because that's exhausting too, by the way. I want my defensive players to be all like that. Matter of fact, even the offensive guys, not my quarterback. Sorry. I just don't. You know, I know it looks good on TV and everybody's saying it's bad, but I want him to be that quiet storm, that calm, cool customer, and be like, boom, with his fist, and that's all. That's all. That's it. I don't want this yelling. I don't want none of that screaming. I don't want any of that till we get in the locker room when the game is over, because that's when you pull the clock in. You clocked in and you clocked out. Yeah, this is all focus zone, you know. He act like he going to be up, you know, front motivating the team, talking before the game. Leave that to Big Jeff. Some of the other guys. Henry. Cool customer. I got y'all. Play bad, I got y'all.
Shout out to Big Jeff for traveling with the team.
Man, come on, stop that. Stop no big travel. Like, that was his choice? This ain't high school. Like, cool. He posted travel. He's the leader of the team. He's one of the highest paid players on the team. Let's don't give him kudos for stuff that they supposed to be doing. He's the captain of the defense. That's his new role. That's his new role. Until he's healthy. So I appreciate all that. But we ain't gonna give him no pat on the back. You doing what you're supposed to do. What else you supposed to do? Sit on the sideline and be quiet because you're not playing? No. That's not what leaders do. That's when he did exactly what he was supposed to do. So, yeah. I mean, I'm coming from a different perspective. I get it. You coming from a fan perspective.
I get it.
And I'm coming from once you got that $80 million or whatever it was, I don't know what he got. It's so high for me. I can't even count that high. And you're a leader of the team. You solidified that a couple years ago. Dude, you got to bring something to the table.
Yeah.
Even when you're not playing. And leaders do that, and he absolutely brings that to the table and did it. So, yeah, I expect that out of Big Jeff. He's an elite player amongst elite athletes. So when you can't play, you gotta be into the game, support your guys. They got it done, by the way, without him.
Sure did.
I'd love somebody to ask Big Jeff, how surprised were you how well they played without you?
No Fulton either in the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
Harold Landry, 3 sacks.
Harold Landry.
Boy.
Him and Autry. Ooh. They were balling.
Key.
Autry contracted up. Yeah, Key. They the front four, they play with their butts on fire. I said that at the beginning. That's it, man. That's really in a nutshell the target. I thought Hooker actually played really well in this game. He brought the thunder early, hit, and then he had balls because I know he thinks he should have intercepted that one. Because he's got good hands, no doubt about it.
And he had room to
go
run.
It went
all
like
in
a
front of
target.
him.
It went right between his hands.
Yeah. And, I don't know if, by the way, also, the Brunskill, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name, that Thornton.
Throckmorton.
Yeah. They kept rotating. I don't know how they were doing that, but they didn't miss a beat when he was out there.
Yeah.
They said Brunskill was dealing with some calf issues, I
probably was
believe,
tightening
and
up calf from
so
his ankle.
they took him out to rest and just to see what Throckmorton would give him. So.
He looked all right.
He got a little experience when he got here.
Yeah.
He's- And maybe they stole a little something there.
Now, the one negative is really perturbing me. I mean, even in this win. All these freaking false starts by the offensive line.
Yep.
And Raiders is the king of it.
He is.
But then it's starting to seep into other players.
Yeah, it's
And
contagious.
Dude. I'm gonna make Raiders. I'm gonna let him be the king of this. He's gonna stand on the sideline, and I'll make the whole entire offensive team run 100-yard sprints, and you must cheer them on. Guys, this is enough of that. I am sick and tired of him false starting. Period. And I'm not even going to tell you what the coach used to say to us about false. So, hey, man, that has to end. I'm sorry. That is enough. You get paid. Everybody makes mistakes. I got you. No, this is a consistent deal, game in and game out. We got to expect that he's going to get a false start. I'm sick of that. That got to stop. Yeah, that got to stop. If not, I'd say that in front of the whole team meeting if I'm the head coach. We don't stop all this false starting, the whole entire team will be running sprint until I get tired of blowing the whistle. Yeah, that's enough of that. You guys are grown freaking men, and you keep making us doing that. You control that. These are little pet peeves that can get a coach fired. You keep doing that, and I'm talking about the O-line coach. Dude, you got to stop that. And I'm sure they said something to him, but I'd be like, hey man, that's the last time you can do that. Next time you false start, just run right to the sideline. Just run right to the sideline. Just run right, keep on running. False start, boom, just keep jogging.
Okay.
Just act like you at practice when I say go run a lap. Just keep on running to the sideline. That's enough of that, man. That's a serious problem he's got going on. I'm sorry, that no different if a defensive lineman kept jumping offside. Oh man, what are you doing? And trust me, I'm learning from all this. This is fishbone type stuff right here. Defensive line keep jumping offside on 3rd and 5 and give him a first down. Bro, defense, get ready. We're going to run. Like today, the next day. Defense. Guy who jumped outside, stand in the middle, cheer him on while they running these laps, running these sprints. Mm-hmm. Boy, you talking about some dudes getting hot and, I'm jogging like, I'm running for you, bro? Come on now. Help a brother out.
Coach Mac's going to help us out. We'll have him in next. He was on the call with Mike Keith last night in a wild win in Miami. Coach Mac next on Blaine and Mickey.
Life is busy. We could all use some extra time in our day, which is exactly why Two Rivers Ford offers mobile service. We'll bring the service to your driveway at no additional charge. Oil changes, brakes, batteries, the certified technicians at Two Rivers will perform basic maintenance on your vehicle wherever you are, so you'll have more time for moments like this. Schedule your mobile service appointment by scanning the QR code or calling Two Rivers Ford today.
Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. You hear that music. You know it only means one thing. It means Coach Mack is on the other end of the line, ready to talk some Titans with us. Coach Mack brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, Middle Tennessee's most trusted local Ford dealership for 40 years. Coach Mack, we know you've been involved in a handful of NFL football games over the last couple of years or so. I say that meaning like hundreds of them over dozens of years. You ever seen anything like last night?
I mean, this one was pretty special. It was, come on. Look, everybody that has never been involved in this business thinks that the reward of being in this profession is the money and everything that comes with it. That's not the reward. That's a benefit. The reward is winning, and so there's nothing like winning, and especially winning a football game like that on a national stage, with a very, very young football team against a good football team. That's pretty rewarding.
I always think about you saying the phrase "wins are like oxygen." Well, what a breath of oxygen that was last night. I can't imagine how much oxygen it felt like was pumping through that locker room and that plane ride home.
Yeah, well, the plane ride home was really, because I got back in the house here at 3:00 in the morning, so. When you lay it all on the line like that, you expend that much energy and that much emotion during a ball game. You're pretty that time of night. You're pretty much washed out. So that plane ride was pretty quiet, but the emotion was genuine because this game and this league is so competitive and winning is hard. And when you win something like that, you need to enjoy it. But guess what that gets you in this league? The chance to do it again.
Yes, sir. Coach Mack with us, giving us the Mack attack here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, I don't know if I want to see Levis running around again, but I do like what I saw from him at the end of the game. I guess, Coach, in a nutshell, kind of give us your evaluation from beginning to end of Will Levis, and will this game be a game you look back that he kind of turned the corner, and maybe looking back on this season that maybe he figured it out that maybe he shouldn't be so reckless with not only his body but also with the ball at times?
Yeah, well, look, it's a learning experience for young players, and especially a quarterback. Every game, and so yes, every one of them is a learning experience. And I'm not sure to turn the corner, but it's definitely a big step forward because until you prove or until you experience it yourself that you can do it on a big stage, you never really know. And look, the way he plays is the way he is. You guys have probably been around it. I've been around a lot of hunting dogs and I've been around horse racing, all my life. And when you're choosing those types of a horse or a good hunting dog, you want ones that you have to say whoa to rather than go to.
Right.
Because you can teach them to whoa.
Yeah.
But they have to have an inner drive to go. So this guy is an ultimate competitor, and yes, he's got to learn that there's better ways to make a living before the snap and after the snap, than trying to run over people at times.
Yeah, well, also tackling when he makes a mistake and throws the interception. I'm like, hey, man, you're not supposed to be, dive at the shoestrings. I don't want you going shoulder first on that tackle on your interception there by that D lineman. That's what I'm getting at. His competitive nature just takes over him, and sometimes you got to will it back and be smart when you're a quarterback.
Well, here's a good way. Here's a good way to keep yourself from tackling as a quarterback. Don't throw a pick.
Yeah.
Well, of course you cannot throw picks, let alone, I guess, break down, since we're talking about the pick, break down the pick six and what happened. Can you recall that play and what happened?
Sure. Absolutely. They're trying to throw an inside middle screen, and the tackle dropped off like a spider. The spider spy type of thing. And the tackle read it and dropped off into it. And Will Levis was trying to get the ball, to the running back inside the cylinder and just didn't see him. That's exactly what happened.
Wow. Well, I really believe in this game that the winning play was actually done by the head coach in Vrabel and going for two earlier the two touchdowns before. What did you think about that decision in the moment? Because in the moment, I was like, that's interesting. And then it worked, and you say, oh, well, that's great. But what were you thinking in the moment? You may not have said it on air, but what were you thinking? Great decision?
Well, I completely understood it. I completely understood it because especially, the way the game was going, give yourself a chance to win in regulation. That's one of the things that you study and you talk about. He said, afterwards that he and Stretch had talked about it, quite a bit. Look, there's a lot of thought that goes into this.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I thought another decision that was very, very big was at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
When they chose to push the ball down the field. And, Mike Keith asked me, I said, well, you could sit on it. I mean, you had two choices. He chose to step on it there. And then, that unbelievable throw and catch, by D-Hop,
Yep.
that set him up for points. So, they were ultra aggressive in this game because they had to be. They knew they were going to have to going into it to match points. But I think the big key to this ball game, Blaine, was, and I talked about it all week, because I watched these guys practice. I know what they're going to do, and they had a great defensive game plan to get ahead of that motion and be able to play from the top of the numbers down against that offense and not let them get over their heads. But they basically put a dome over the back end of it, and it was a really, really well executed defensive game plan, and it started a lot before the ball was ever snapped, because they've got some unusual motion that reminded me of some of the days when we first started trying to defend Bill Walsh and that new offense that he put together down there in San Francisco.
The West Coast.
It could confuse you really quick with the motion and the two back stuff if you didn't understand what your idea was going into the game. They did a brilliant job of that, and then their red zone defense was just as good as you could ever get.
I want you just said something earlier. You said they played aggressive right there before the half. But did he only play aggressive because he thought that they needed to score points, because he knew at some point that this team is a high-potent offense that they're facing? But I want to turn that around and say, why don't you do that every game? And then you tell me why you don't as a coach.
You do. They were aggressive. You do every game, but you have to understand there's certain moments in time during a ball game, where it might lend itself to not do it. Now, clearly, if you're in a 2-minute situation, you got to go. You got to go. But that, you had a real choice to make, and either choice would have been good. But I think they really felt like they had something going. And look, those were two of the best corners that played in the league. But D-Hop, guys, I think you guys recognize it. I know that you do, and I know that. But D-Hop is a very exceptional receiver, exceptional for a lot of different reasons. And so, when you've got guys like that, but they've been playing aggressive most of the time. Being aggressive doesn't just mean throwing a band into the wind. You got to have a mindset, and you got to have a reason for doing it. But you can't play football without being aggressive. That's just number one.
Well, I call it playing to win. And it seems like at some points in time throughout Will Levis has been the starter, there are times when not only just before half, but at end of games that they go into this conservative mode in my idea of what I'm watching, and that they're trying to protect Will Levis from making a mistake instead of letting him play freely and, use your terms, aggressive instead of, and it seemed like they did that this game.
Well, here, what you've got to do is play to the development of where your quarterback is at the time, and you don't want to put him in situations that he can't handle. And the more that he proves that he can handle it and can understand it, and you also got to take into consideration, the opponents you're playing, the way that they work, and what they do. And as I said, they had a pretty good idea. Look, this is one of the top offenses in the league. We know that. And also, it's one of the top defenses in the league with a very, very experienced defensive coordinator. So, much kudos to the game plan, and then all the credit, just like, I've got too much coach in me for all these years. All the credit when something like this happens has to go to the way the players perform.
Yeah, they believed in the game plan and they executed. We're on with Coach Mack. Keeping it real today from Titans Radio.
Coach, there's always talk about you got to marriage your pass rush and your coverage on the back end. It seems like the Titans did a fantastic job of that, because Tua wants to get rid of the ball quickly. That's Miami's whole thing. And there were times he just couldn't get rid of it. And that just half a second tick that he had on the ball, then he gets blasted by Landry or Key or any number of guys.
Well, first of all, they rotated those guys around that front, which was really good. They did a great job of bogeying and disguising coverages. I know Blaine saw that. They did a really good job of pre-snap looks that morphed into something else. But, you talk about when you play an offense like that, playing from the top of the numbers down, you have to be able to do that. and you cannot give them because people think that this offense is just built on lining up and throwing it as far as you can. It's not at all. This is a very nuanced, rhythmic RPO system that looks for seams and looks for runs after catch. And it was a big, big tell in this ball game that the Titans had 7 explosive plays in this ball game, and the Miami Dolphins had 2. and normally that's just. I mean, you're talking about an offense that's had over 60 explosive plays this season. So major kudos to the game plan and the execution.
Yeah.
It sounded like from a lot of people. I was listening to Titans radio. I was listening to the TV. I think some people weren't pleased with the national coverage because it felt like the whole thing was set up like, oh, this is going to be a big fun coming out party for the Dolphins. And I heard Buck saying they had all these legends at the game and everything. What was it like in that stadium, though, as, the Dolphins in 1 minute scored 2 touchdowns, and then the Titans essentially in a minute of their own came back ahead in this thing? What were the emotions like in there?
That stadium was crazy. I mean, and they pulled out all stops. I mean, it was full blown South Beach, Miami. I mean, the music was extra loud, and the light show and the laser show before the ball game, walking in. I mean, that crowd really felt confident, and it was a night game, so I'm sure everybody had enjoyed the party before the game. They got J-Lo's club there. I mean, it's all South Beach, Miami, and it was at full force, and that even makes you feel better when we were pushing our equipment out of there to go load up the buses, going past everybody looking at us going, wow, please don't come back.
Coach Mack, we always want him to come back each week and give us the Mack Attack here, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford.
Well, Coach, one more question about this game before we move on to the Texans. I don't even know if you got a chance, but I'm sure you've been watching a little bit of tape here and there. But is this a game where you feel like it's going – this was a clear shift in the offense to me in that is going from the King to Will Levis's team?
Oh, yeah, I think it's both our teams. They still try. You got to run the football. They tried to run the football and they couldn't because what Vic Fangio was doing defensively. And so when that happens, then you got to find another tack. But this is still Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a huge part of it. Just like Jeffrey Simmons, even though he was injured, he's a huge part of it. I don't think it's a shift. I think what it does do though is it continues to give you confidence. That you've got a young quarterback that you can build, you can build with. You build with. I don't like the term build around because everybody's got to be involved in it. And your run game, especially, look, they've got Derrick Henry. We're fortunate to be able to have been here during his career because this guy is special. But now also you're seeing some younger guys come in. I mean, you're playing a lot of rookies on this football team that after games like that kind of takes your rookie stripes away because you can't get any, other than a playoff game, you're not going to get any more environment that's hostile than that. And so, yeah, I don't think it's a shift. I think it's just evolution as to what you have to do to win games. That's what this, Mike Vrabel is really good at knowing, before the week starts and projecting this to his team, what you're going to have to do to beat this opponent. That's how you have to live in the National Football League.
No doubt about it. I guess lastly with the Texans, not sure who'll be playing at quarterback and receiver and who's all injured or not, but just gonna give us a synopsis of what you know so far right now without watching a whole bunch of film on them, some of the things that we need to know about the Texans.
Yeah, well, I've watched a lot of film because you got to double up when you've got these games like this. When you get back, I mean, it's just the same way you did when you were playing these types of games. It is an altered schedule. Look, first of all, you don't know because they've got some injuries. And by the way, speaking of injuries, people say, well, Miami had people hurt. Don't talk to me about injuries.
Yeah.
Because this football team, what they've gone through, everybody goes through it. And so, I mean, it's kind of like nobody cares unless it's you. So let's get past that. This is the National Football League. Everybody's going to have those obstacles they have to overcome. But the Texans have been on a roll, and they've been really doing a nice job. C.J. Stroud has been an awesome job. D'Amico Ryans, as a rookie coach, seemingly has pushed all the right buttons. Defensively, they're very, very aggressive. It's going to make a difference who plays the quarterback for them. Yeah, it's going to make a huge difference who plays quarterback for them. So he's in the concussion protocol, so we'll see going in there. But, guys, Blaine, I don't have to tell you. It's the Texans and the Titans. That's about all you need to say.
No doubt. Well, I really got to ask you this. Being a head coach,
Yeah.
DC, you may not know the answer, but I'm sure you've talked to other coaches when you were a head coach. The O-line. When you have an issue with players, and because I don't want to call out just one player, just always consistently, every game having a false start, what actually happens to that player? Like, what is going on in his head? And then how do you try to mitigate him doing this continually over and over every game?
Well, look, that's completely up to them. These are grown men.
Right.
That's completely on them. You've got to ask them because I can't.
Lord.
Just like Kadarius Toney lining up offside.
Right. Ding dong.
I had that happen to me one time when I was the head coach in Arizona, and I called the guy over that cost us big. And I said, look, there's a lot of hard things about this game, but lining up right ain't one of them. So, that's a player issue, and you should not, as a grown man and a professional, you should not have to tell somebody tell you repeatedly, go on the snap count.
Oh, man, I'd be begging, man. Can you hold your water, man? You gonna get me fired, man. There you go, Coach Mack. Said we grown men.
Hey, Coach Mack, we know it's been a long night, but a great victory for the Titans, and it was awesome to see kind of a miraculous win in honor of our miracle man, Frank Wycheck, last night as well.
Absolutely.
But we
I think Mike Keith said it very well at the ending of that broadcast, and that's heartfelt.
Sure was. At the beginning and at the end, both of them. Coach Mack, hey, we know it's been a long night, but a fun one, and we appreciate the time and can't wait to talk to you next week, hopefully about another win.
Guys, you know how much I love talking ball with you. Let's get ready for Houston Texans. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Oilers versus Texans. That's going to be fun for sure. Coach Mack, our guest. All right, Bam has been holding. Bam wants to talk to us. You want to talk to us. Lines are open 615-737-1045 as we continue to discuss a wild victory in Miami. And as Coach Mack said, the Titans had more X plays than the Dolphins did. How about them apples?
Yeah. Oh, man, you had that on your bets. Mickey's best bets?
No, all of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't say them out loud. We'll be back.
While you've been patiently preparing for cooler overnight temps, your home's heating system may need some prep of its own. That's where my friends at Cool Ray can come in. They're hard at work preparing thousands of Tennessee residents for the cool down with a $49 furnace tune-up. So think of your furnace tune-up like maintenance on your car. We all know what can go wrong if you neglect that, right? And if this is the year you finally need to fully replace your home's heating and cooling system, Cool Ray is armed and ready with same-day or next-day installation available on brand-new Timstar home comfort systems. Plus, they boost the 10-year parts and labor warranty on the new unit. And with the holidays just around the corner, remember some important holiday tips from your friends at Cool Ray. Don't put a live or artificial tree near a heating vent to keep your family safe during the holidays is naturally one of them. So schedule your $49 tune-up or any other heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical-related deal by visiting Cool Ray online. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's CoolRay.com.
Levis gets him on the ball. First and goal at the 2. Levis looks, pumps, steps up, looks, throws, caught! Touchdown! Titans! DeAndre Hopkins! So.
Well, he threw late over the middle on that, but he made it work. It was late, and it was over the middle, and it was back across his body. He was like checking all the boxes and don't ever do this, and he threw it right to D-Hop, man. It's like, I don't know about this. Oh, that's a good play, man. Good job.
Yeah, man.
I got a little nervous.
Oh, Levis there, man. He'll have you never nervous for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I loved how he maneuvered
he's
the
a
pocket
tough-
yesterday.
Yeah, that was magical.
Son of a gun.
He is.
Yeah.
All Four Seasons Garage, they're tough son of a guns. Get your garage going.
They tough just like our man Frankie, man. That was one for Frankie. Yeah,
How about that? The most magical, weird, miraculous, the Miami Miracle. I saw somebody call it on Twitter.
Yeah, that was only
The
fun.
Monday Night Miracle.
The Monday night for Frank. You win
Hey.
the most.
I see you, bananas.
So the last 767 teams that were down by 14 in the final 3 minutes of a game had lost. and they won that game. They had a 0.4 chance of winning at one
Like
point.
they had
First
done it
team
before.
ever to win it in regulation.
Yeah, and not take it to overtime. That's all for Big Frank. Let's talk to him.
Didn't real quick? Didn't Levis set a record?
Only rookie quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 300 yards on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Monday Night Football is 50-plus years old. Think about that.
The next closest is Justin Fields, who had 200-something his rookie year. And
Probably
he did
ran
that,
for
he
400.
did that twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We got to witness it. He'll never forget it. And neither will we.
And neither will Bam, because I think he was even there, Blaine. What's up, Bammer?
Yeah, Bam, you was there?
Man, I was like Ric Flair. I was styling and profiling.
I saw the videos on X, man. I was like, dang, you got
I
that
was
thing
styling
lit.
and profiling, man. Yeah, man. Let me tell you something, man. That was definitely a miracle. Because, man, when we gave that ball back to them twice, those fans were dragging me so hard. But let me tell you something. Will Levis, by the time I got done with them, I did a WWE promo last night. I was Ric Flair in the flesh last night. You couldn't tell me nothing by the time we scored those 2 touchdowns. Boy, they was ready to jump me. And I didn't even care because I was like, you know what? To beat a man, you got to beat the man. And we just beat the man. So, boom, there you go. But, no, all the way around, man, that was a gutsy performance by them guys, man. I said to myself, at first, I didn't go into the game with no expectations, but going into the further we got in the game, and it was still close, I was like, yo, this starting to feel a little risky. This starting to feel like a Mike Vrabel game. I'm like, it's not 21-7 at the half or 24-3. I'm like, yo, if y'all don't close these boys out, y'all finna have a dog fight. And I kept saying that. I'm like, man, this game's starting to get a little topsy-turvy here. And it became a Titans game. Even when them self-destructing and they got back up the field, now I'm like this. Why can't we see that out of the offense consistently? You know, I think that has to do with a lot of Tim Kelly's play calling in a sense. He did a great job, you know, bringing the game out. But I'm like, I think we need to lean more towards what we have to do to stay in games or to stay ahead of games, with the offense being like the last 2 minutes, man, they were like everything shifted their way. And I'm like, why do we wait to put ourselves in these positions to go from here? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it gave the team a lot of confidence. You could just feel it in the energy. You could feel it in the air. I'm excited to see where we're going with Levis, even though we're not mathematically dead yet, you know, I'm not really expecting a playoff, but if they keep coming out playing, now that we're here, I guess we still not talking playoffs, but if you win 2 or 3 more and you get a little bit of luck on your side, it ain't over with yet. But Levis is the dude you want to go to the playoff with. He's the dude that you want to go because he's not going to lay down for anybody, man. So it was we did it for Frank last night, man. We did it for, you know, all the underdogs, for all the naysayers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we brought the noise, we brought the heat. It felt good coming back to Nashville with a W. It felt good being in Hard Rock. Yeah, just talking a lot of crap to everybody. Blaine, I was just as hype as you were, Blaine, as the legend. I was just as hype as you, Blaine, as the legend when you were there. Yeah, bro, I wasn't playing no games.
Appreciate that. That was big time, man. That was big time win, man.
Well, I bet the emotions in that stadium in 1 minute went from the top to the bottom, Bam, like maybe you've never seen before.
Man, it was. I couldn't believe how fast the game turned. I couldn't believe we went down 14 that quick. I was like, okay, cool. You know, before that happened, I was like, now it's going to be a dogfight. Then when we go down 14, I just about got ready to leave. Because a lot of Miami's fans were leaving, but I was like, man, I'm just trying to wait till this traffic die down so I ain't got to sit in that because it was atrocious trying to get in there. So, man, all of a sudden you just start seeing things turn around, and I was like, uh-oh. Then when they scored, when the defense held them and we got the ball back, I was like, man, this do or die right here, man. And that dude Levis came out. He was so fired up. I mean, he was like,
I saw his veins in his arms,
bro,
man. I was like, oh my god.
The whole stadium, bro. Like, you had to hear. Okay, if y'all ever seen a WWE entrance before, whenever King Henry got in that last touchdown, that place popped like it was us. Like, it popped so loud. I was like, oh, my God. It was almost one of them things that even some of Miami fans, it was like one of them crazy Rocky movies to where, like, Rocky's the villain, then by the end of the fight, everybody's cheering for Rocky. It was like that. Man, it was a classic moment, man. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, yo, this is classic Titans, man. This is like a new era of Titans. You know what I'm saying? Like, just winning ugly. It was an ugly win, but it was a win that made us believe again because, man, we were nowhere in that game. Yeah. Nowhere in it at all. Yeah, they didn't have us in there at all, but that's just, man, believe, man. That you just got to believe.
Well, Bam.
So I came back with a W, man.
You sure did. We appreciate you checking in with us and sharing your travel with us. Yeah, he was all decked out in his Titans gear, and, man, he was lit.
He was lit,
man. He was telling people all about it. All right, hour number 2 coming up at the show. Your thoughts on last night. People, man, I couldn't sleep. I was up all night reading everybody's tweets and reveling in a fun night, remembering our buddy Frankie, and seeing this team win the way they did in his honor was crazy. But then I found out this morning, a bunch of y'all turned off the TV and turned off the radio. Some of us fell asleep accidentally.
Oh, I did.
We want to hear from you. We're also going to hear from our buddy John Glennon, get his thoughts on the game last night. Certainly covered Frank Wycheck. We'll hear from him as well on that. But 615-737-1045. Who will admit that they turned off the TV? We'll be right back.
Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you, I'll be ready at 4 p.m., and it's not. People are really tired of that stuff. If you had that with unreliable vehicle repair shops, come on over to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. And at Eurofix, they have vehicles ready when it's really ready, so you won't be standing around waiting all freaking day. And Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer and without the dealer pricing. That's because the dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of moolah. And why would you want to pay for that? Well, at Eurofix, reliable means you have a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And make sure you call ahead as loaner cars are very popular. So if you're tired of the unreliable repair shops, come on over to Reliable, and that means Eurofix. Family owned for 24 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said y'all.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up, everybody? Happy Victory Monday to you. Titans get it done. Biggest miracle maybe since the MCM, the Music City Miracle. Titans won 28-27. They trailed by 14 with less than 3 minutes to go. A muff punt, a fumble pitch, handed Miami 14 points in 1 minute of game clock time. It was 27-13. Some of y'all turned off the TV. You can admit it. Some of y'all turned off Titans radio. Titans win probability dropped to 0.4%. They were the first NFL team ever to be down 14 points with less than 2:55 left and win without overtime. The last 767 teams that were down by 14 in the final 3 minutes had lost. But the offense scored twice and took the lead with 1:49 to go on a King TD. Then Landry got his third sack on a final fourth down to put it away. And it was on like Donkey Kong in Miami for the Tennessee Titans.
What a fantastic win, man. Who would have thunk it, right?
Yeah, I don't think a
Definitely
lot
not
of
me.
people thunk it.
Yeah, I definitely didn't, man. But as soon as that game started, it was just a weird deal right off the bat with all the guys getting injured on the Dolphins side of the ball. Then I think as time went on, they got into his head too, by the way, defensively. I mean, his sacks he was taking, he couldn't get rid of the ball, as you mentioned, but he was confused on what they were doing every time he had to make a critical decision. In particular, every time it was third down or especially the last couple drives there. So kudos to the staff on defensive side and Vrabel with the confusion that they caused in the front four playing great, at least in this game, without Jeffrey Simmons. So
Sure did.
I really thought that was critical in this game.
Tua losing his starting center there, which was
Early.
with the first or second
Yeah, he
drive.
fumbled a snap.
And when they fumbled, I think that got in his head too. And because they didn't seem like they were on the same page at all, at least there in that first half.
Yep.
Yeah, so that
But as Coach Mack said, don't tell us about injuries.
Oh,
This
no.
team's had everybody and their brother play on the O-line this year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But it was just weird how it went bam, bam, bam. You're like, oh, this may be going in Titans' way. Then you see Tariq Hill go there and go, oh, we really got a shot. I was like,
did not hate to see that.
oh. No, I hate to see anybody get injured, but as long as it wasn't major, I was like, oh, this could help the Titans.
Yeah.
I'm all about helping the Titans. And nobody out there trying to hurt somebody unintentional. Yeah, got his leg up underneath there. I don't know if that was a horse collar or not, but they didn't call it, so it's not.
Yeah.
Even though it looked like it was.
Yeah, well, that went their way.
Yeah,
some
they got some breaks
calls
along the way.
They did get some breaks along the way. You want to take some of these phone calls?
Yeah.
People want to sound off on what
Yeah,
they saw,
sound
man.
off.
Let's get. Oh, we got Ryan on here. So Mickey Ryan will answer this call from Ryan. Hello, cousin.
Ryan calling Ryan.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Ryan on Ryan crying.
Yeah, man. That game had a little bit of everything. It was up and down, back and forth. I mean, I can't think of a game that had more twists and turns than that in my recent memory. Easily one of my favorite wins in my Titan fanhood. It was so amazing. I watched, I recorded it, and I was so fired up. I watched the whole thing again. I was up till 3 a.m.
Dang, you out there with me then.
Ryan, you and Blaine are on the same clock, man. Staying up.
Yeah, no, it's I'm feeling rough today, but it was worth it last night. But I'm sorry, I just tuned in, so forgive me if you've already covered this, but I had a question for y'all too. I was on Twitter while I was rewatching it, reading all the comments and stuff. What's your take on the tankers? Because I can't stand these people that claim to be fans and talking about we should have lost. Man, that's a Monday night football game.
Yeah.
I can't think of a game more important to win. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Thank you for the call, Ryan.
Well, you know my thoughts is that there's no team is going to intentionally try to tank. So I think that's really hard to do in the National Football League. Guys are paid to do a job. The only way you can really initially tank is by, maybe putting your backup quarterback who's a young player with not a lot of experience or playing a lot of your backups going into the game. So, which guys are still going to play hard. But if you want to give a version of what that could be in the NFL, that's the only thing. And I still don't even think that's a version of tanking. If it's towards the end of the season, you're trying to evaluate all your guys. That's just the way it is. So, yeah, I don't think they can do that,
And
really.
for those people who are draft position watching,
Yeah.
Titans are still top 10. They dropped to 9th.
Yeah.
So they're outside the top 5, but they're 9th. So, and you have a pretty difficult schedule, I should say, depending on, some key players, especially with the Texans and C.J. Stroud coming up. But top 5 still isn't out of the realm, but you're still there in the top. And this draft class is so deep in positions of need that I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, they'll be in the top 10 regardless. I think that'll happen.
And you're seeing your young players get developed, and they're playing big minutes, and they're growing as players, and they'll be better next year for what they're doing this year. I mean, you got to watch guys grow up before your eyes last night. You got to watch Rufus call on the phone with our very eyes, and he's going to talk to us now. Hey, Rufus.
Hey, what's going on, brothers?
Hey,
Tell us.
buddy.
Hey, listen, I wanted to say a few words about Frank.
Yes, sir.
Man, I saw him play, I guess it was 2000, 2001, the only Titans game I ever attended in person, preferably, sitting at home in a warm and comfortable environment of my living room. But him and Steve, they were playing. Steve hit him with what we used to call when I played was a 36 belly pass, where he would act like he was blocking the guy in front of him and then come out in the flat there or in the middle of the field. And Steve popped it to him. And, man, I don't know who it was. I want to say Takeo Spikes. They were playing the Bills. And, I mean, you could hear that hit all the way where we were. And we were in the nosebleed section. And that's the thing about Frank, man. He was in that Novacek type mode, Walker, the type of guys who would, seek you out. You want to hit me? Bring it, But anyway, yeah, man, I did tune out the game once. Levis threw that whatever you call it to our running back Henry there. Yeah, I put it on the other game. So I'm looking at the score tracker right there, and it says 27-13, right? And then I look and I said, 21 to 27. So I turned it back right quick, and I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing, oh, man, Will Levis is the future. He is the future. He's our quarterback. We got our quarterback. All of our Titans fans can be happy about that. I know I am. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to give props to Frank. When he retired, I took the newspaper article that they put with a picture of him and all of his stats up on my back bedroom wall and had it there for a year before it got to the condition that, I had to pull it down. I wish to this day I had it framed where I still had it. But, anyway, Frank, man, we'll see you, buddy. We'll see you up there in the good Lord's house one of these days. And
thank you, Rufus.
I wanted to say one other thing. Titans win.
Yes, sir.
Tighten up.
Tighten up, Rufus. Rufus and Shaka Khan.
The other game was pretty good, too.
Here's the one thing about that.
Y'all got the two frame picture watching the games?
I was back here in the studio because I do pregame, and so I was hanging out.
Oh,
with,
you do?
Yeah, so I was hanging out with Jackson watching the game, and we had
you and Jackson chilling.
Pretty much. So we had the Titans game on the top computer in here, and on the bottom we had the Manning cast, which was flipping back and forth. And so Tommy DeVito, man, for the Giants, not to get off the Titans, but he's another rookie that's just been pretty electric. And
was he undrafted? I know.
I believe so.
Because he's the guy that lives with his mom still, right?
Yeah. And
I just heard the story.
Yeah, they had a big tailgate before the game
he's
out
from
there.
the East Coast, right, somewhere.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think he went to Syracuse, and then he transferred out of Syracuse and went somewhere else.
Oh.
But he had did you guys see his agent before the game?
Yes.
Wearing the all black with white pinstripe suit, 3-piece suit. He had the fedora. He had the slick back hair. Looked like an Italian mobster right there on the sideline. It was awesome.
Oh, you don't know his name though?
Sean something. I can look it up real quick.
Sean Murphy Button.
Yes. DeVito played at Syracuse and then transferred to Illinois.
Oh.
So you're right about that. He started at Syracuse, 6'2", 210, undrafted in 2023.
Where's it say he's from?
Livingston, New Jersey.
Sean Stellato.
He is.
That's his agent.
He is playing for his team, man. And his family are having the time of their lives.
Man, he got to worry about cooking or nothing. He just show up at home like he been showing up, like his days back in high school. Because I'm sure at college he lived on campus.
This dude,
He's living a dream.
He's living a dream. He's playing for his team in his homes. He's living a dream. Eating his mama's cooking, playing for the G-men.
How funny would it have been if he was a Jets fan growing up?
You'd never tell anybody.
Yeah, I'd be saying, hey, man, I'm playing in their stadium. We're all good here. They share a stadium. I will say this. They double boxed it a bit much for my liking. If I wanted to see the other game, I would have tuned into that game.
Oh, you talking about for the mini-cat, or you just enjoyed it?
No, if you were just watching Monday Night Football, they kept dropping in
I know,
half
they
the
did.
screen the other game.
I was getting a little perturbed, too.
I'm like, hey, man, I made a decision here.
I didn't know if that was everybody's or they would. I didn't know how they would.
We put the Manicast up just so we would have the other game. Also, Taylor Lewan and Will Compton were on, and so I wanted to catch a little bit of that. But I wanted to watch the Titans game. I didn't want to tune in to. I could have gone to ABC, the local channel, and gotten the Giants Packers game if I really wanted to watch it.
Yeah, I was listening to Riddick and what's the quarterback to step out the back?
Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, Orlovsky. Because they're funny, but calling the games not so funny.
Yeah,
just really ball talk.
Yes.
So it's right up my alley, but I know some people may think it's a little boring. Because my wife's like, no, I'd rather watch the Manning cast. I said, okay, well, you can go watch it on another TV.
I'm the same way. I want to hear the guys analyze the game.
Me too.
And I know people weren't happy with them last night, and I get it, but I always want to hear the game analyzed.
Yeah, they analyze the game. It might have been like stoic in the same tone the whole way, but my wife loves entertainment, so she's like, I want to hear entertainment. You know they got such and such is coming on there. Taylor Lewan, I'm about to go watch that. Like, oh my God. So I get the true fan vibe from my wife.
Did you see him shotgun that beer?
No, I did not watch. She watched it on
he shotgunned
TV.
So they scored the touchdown, the Nick Westbrook-Akina touchdown. He shotgunned a beer, then they called it off. They called the touchdown off, and it was already too late. He had already shotgunned it.
We got to shotgun our way to the next segment. I know we got callers on the line, but we're running a little bit late. We got to get to our man, John Glennon. If you hold, we will get to more callers after John Glennon. I can promise you, but let's talk to JG next about what he saw last night and what he expects to come from this Titans team going forward. All right, let's talk to all of you who have spent another year watching your hair say goodbye to you. Spent a whole nother year dealing with hair loss, right? Ladies, gentlemen, you hear me do these ads about PAI. You hear me tell you to go to WeGrowHair.com. You don't do anything. Well, guess what? What is today? Let's just all look together. It's December 12th. So maybe you've been hearing me since January 1st, and I've been telling you this same story. You're almost at another 365 days of doing nothing about it. Why don't you do something about it? Get with the folks at PAI. Go to WeGrowHair.com. Look at real people, real results. Then you call them 615-376-6010, and you make an appointment, and it's free. You just make an appointment. It's free. And they'll take some pictures, and they'll say, here's how you got to where you are. Here's how you get to where you want to be. It's a game plan. That's how the Titans won last night. They had a game plan. They followed it, and they won. You can follow the game plan for your hair, and you can win, and you can look like your old self again, like those pictures on the wall that you're going to see all throughout this holiday season everywhere you go. So why don't you call them now? Call PAI Medical Group, WeGrowHair.com, 615-376-6010.
This is second down. Give Henry turning the left side, diving. Touchdown, Titans! Derrick Henry has knotted the count with 1:49 to go.
Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, I slept with one eye open last night. I couldn't sleep after that football game. I bet John Glennon was just up writing all kinds of stories for the Nashville Post about it because that's where he writes now, and he joins us. JG, how crazy that you get a miracle in Miami on the day that we remembered our own miracle man, Frank Wycheck. How about the odds of that, man?
Yeah, that is very impressive. Pretty incredible stuff, and certainly in its own way, I guess, a fitting tribute to Frank Wycheck. But boy, yeah, that game was like none other that I can remember seeing in quite some time. I mean, I thought right towards the end there, where not only the Titans surrender the one touchdown on a mistake. I thought they were in deep enough darkness at that point, then to double the odds and give up another touchdown late. Just incredible the way they rallied there to take that one.
Of all the things that happened, because you're a writer and you guys are observational by nature, very observational. What was the most surreal thing maybe during the course of the game where you thought, well, this may be the most unbelievable thing that's happened yet?
I'm not sure if it was during the game or maybe when I look back, just the fact that, we all know how much difficulty the Titans had winning on the road, not only winning, but scoring on the road. They had in their road games this year and going back a bit last year, they hadn't scored more than 16 points in a road game, during that stretch. And so when you're looking at a team that only has 13 points, and there's 3 minutes left in the game, and for them to score 15 points in those final 3 minutes, when as I say, they hadn't scored more than 16 in an entire road game in close to a year, that to me stands out probably as the most incredible figure. And there were plenty of incredible stats coming out of that game as well.
Sure were. John Glennon, again, covering them all for the Nashville Post. He is at Glennon Sports on Twitter. Follow him there.
Well, John, JG, I know you were focused all in on Brunskill and Throckmorton at right guard, just like everybody was, right? Like, I know they were rotating in, but it seems like he did a pretty good job.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
It seems as though that worked out pretty well. I didn't know too much about Throckmorton, but what were your thoughts, if you have any?
Yeah, that was, a bit of a surprise. I thought, to me, Brunskill had been playing pretty decently. Not incredible, but I thought very solid, very reliable. But Mike Vrabel said today at the presser that he wanted to get a look at Calvin Throckmorton, who the Titans acquired in a trade, a few weeks ago, and I think probably the fact that Daniel Brunskill was still bothered a little bit by the ankle probably played a bit of a role in that as well. But certainly, when you look at the overall picture, Titans running game, the offensive line didn't get much movement up front, I don't think. But pass protection, you got to hand it to them. There was a lot of pressure, a fair amount of pressure, but there was only one sack, and for the group that the Titans, roll out there, and that, that's reserves on both tackles. And, like we said, a guy, Calvin Throckmorton, who was just traded for a few weeks ago in the interior. Not a bad performance by the offensive line, all things considered.
Yeah, I heard Vrabel talk about it, man. They need to teach, and as much as I love his passion, Levis, he needs to learn how to slide and stop trying to tackle these big old D tackles and he throws the interception to him.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. You mentioned his physicality. We kind of saw it, really on, if you want to say, on both sides of the ball, because as you referenced there, after he throws that interception, the Dolphins defensive tackle who returned it, Hazel, was in the end zone already, and Will Levis is still trying to hit him. When he's down on his knees, he's still trying to put his shoulder into the Dolphins defender. And then, of course, we see it on those back-to-back scrambles by Will Levis. He's dropping a shoulder and putting that right into Jalen Ramsey, who is not a small man for a defensive back whatsoever. So I think in one respect, certainly that kind of play has to fire up, teammates when you see that kind of passion, that kind of courage, especially from the quarterback spot. On the other hand, if you're one of his teammates or his coach, you'd like to see that, passion, and you'd like to see Levis in the game as often as possible. And if he continues to make plays like that, odds are he's going to get hurt in one of them. So I think he just has to learn to temper that just a little bit moving forward. And as you guys referenced, it's time to learn the old baseball slide if he hadn't already perfected it.
We went with John Glennon. I guess a couple things that were observations, and that is Henry seems to run harder. I thought this before. Seems like when he can taste that he's close to the end zone, it seems like he runs harder to me. I don't know why I feel that way, but that's how I've always felt. Now I'm just verbalizing and see if anyone else sees that. As well as, man, can they get Burks involved in the offense? I know they tried to, but, man, maybe they're trying too hard. I don't know.
Yeah. It's getting difficult on the Burks situation. Here's kind of a surprising stat too from last night. We all know what DeAndre Hopkins did, with the 7 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown. Well, he had one fewer snaps than Treylon Burks did last night, which is pretty stunning considering I think Treylon Burks finished with 1 catch for 1 yard, I think, on 3 targets. And this wasn't Burks' first game back after returning from the concussion. He's had a game there to kind of get back in the swing of things, it just doesn't seem to be happening. As we've talked about before, it seems like every time he starts to gain a little momentum, he gets sidelined by another injury, and I think with the concussion too, he was out of not only out of practices, but out of meeting rooms. I don't think you even go to meetings when you're dealing in concussion protocol. So I think that hurt him too. But boy, it's getting to be more and more of a difficult road to see, or difficult challenge kind of to see that Burks potential these days. And Henry, I think you're absolutely right. I think he definitely is a back that has that nose for the end zone, and I think it seems like every other carry, Derrick Henry is setting a milestone these days, and I think he hit another one last night with that second touchdown carry. I believe it is off the top of my head. I'm not looking at my old story here, but I think it became just the 3rd running back in NFL history to hit at least 10 touchdowns rushing in 6 straight seasons. So that gives you a pretty good idea right there that he does know how to get into the end zone. He didn't have much room last night, not a whole lot of positive yardage, but boy, obviously the touchdowns were huge. And how about that nice reception that Derrick Henry had?
Oh yeah, we got to give him props. I mean, at least he had an opportunity.
We got to give him a little bit of love.
Yeah, he was laughing about that too. He said, "I've been practicing with D-Hop."
Up in the air and pulling that down, but that was pretty strong stuff.
No question. We're on with John Glennon, who covers the Titans for the Nashville Post.
John, how about old tricky analytical Vrabel, who went for points before the half and then late in the game on the, I guess if it's not the ultimate, would it be the penultimate touchdown where he decided to go for 2? There was some aggressiveness from Vrabel last night.
Very nice use of penultimate.
Thank you, JJ. That was for you. Thank you.
Nicely done. I thought it was interesting. You referenced there towards the end of the first half, they had 2 drives really within the last couple minutes. And on the first one, it looked like they were perfectly satisfied to kind of run the ball a few times, let that clock wind down, and go into the half, very competitive, and they didn't want to make a mistake. So I was surprised, and they got a second run at it with about 28 seconds left. And they have the ball at their own 21-yard line. I was thinking to myself, well, certainly if you ran on the previous drive, you're going to do the same thing. Well, all of a sudden they just started winging it around at that point, and they wind up going down and getting points. And of course, that proved to be significant. And yes, Mr. Analytics did indeed go for the 2 points there late. It worked. I agree with what he said that it is, analytics does favor that decision going for 2, and then you've got a chance to win it at the end. I don't know. I'm still a cautious guy in that respect. I like to think that if you go for the extra point, you cut it to 7. Well, you're pretty much set. You're going to have a chance to send it to overtime if you do score another touchdown and get a single extra point the next time around as well. But it works. That is what analytics favors these days. When you're coming back from 2 touchdowns down. So props to Mike Vrabel for being open-minded, and props to Tim Kelly for setting up a good 2-point play, and look at how everything worked out.
You like that aggressiveness going forward? Maybe kind of continue that approach? I know that's typically not the Titans' way. They like to run the ball a lot, but do you maybe kind of take that box, the playbook in it, and crack the lid open a little more?
I think you certainly can, right? I mean, let's face it, even with last night's victory, the Titans are 5-8. The chances, you run them through the computer, and the chances of making the playoffs are about 1% right now. So it's not very likely. So, but that does maybe give you some freedom. You can afford to take more chances. If you were in a very tight playoff race, you might want to not want to take the risk of some of these plays or some of these strategies and so forth. But I think the Titans need to take full advantage of that fact, embrace the fact, if you will, that you're unlikely to make the playoffs. Take some chances. Let Will Levis throw the ball around a little bit more, see what you got, and some of those young receivers. We saw big contributions last night from Chigokonkwo, who we haven't seen too much of this season, and certainly Tajay Spears coming out of the backfield as well. So I think we saw some nice maybe glimpses into the future for the Titans passing attack, and I don't think there's any reason why they should hold back over the last few weeks.
John Glennon, our guest at Glennon Sports, doing his writing now for the Nashville Post.
We're all honest here. I don't think any of us, Bananas, Mickey, or myself, thought the Titans would win the game. What were you thinking before the game even started? And then how it started with all those injuries on the Dolphins. And then you go, oh, this may be interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of take me through your thought process through all of that.
I thought it was going to be a real tough challenge for the Titans, just like probably everybody in America did. Yeah. That's the reason they were 2 touchdown underdogs coming into this game. And then you throw in the fact too that there's no Jeffrey Simmons. That one of their starting corners, Christian Fulton, is down. And as we referenced earlier, your starting left tackle is a 6th-round rookie out of who's just kind of getting his feet under him, just has a few starts. So I didn't like the Titans' chances, and I certainly thought we were going to be in for a long night of watching after the early mistakes. And the early pick 6, I had a bad feeling about this one. I'll be honest. I thought I started going back and looking at some of the uglier Titans defeats over the years because honestly, I thought I was going to have to maybe incorporate some of those into my stories. Just because it had that feel. I mean, Miami's so explosive, can score so many points so quickly, and the Titans were just struggling right out of the gate. I didn't like it. And honestly, maybe I read too much into kind of facial expressions and body language as well. But I don't know if you guys would agree, but watching Mike Vrabel on the sidelines early on, it just looked like he kind of had that appearance of, oh boy, himself. Like I don't know. It didn't radiate the usual Vrabel confidence that I see on the sidelines over there. So kind of when I saw that too, I was thinking, oh boy, we might be in for a tough one. But credit to him, credit to his team. pull off a stunner, certainly a win for the ages.
Did Vrabel address, I guess, the 9-game road losing streak?
A little bit. I think they sort of tried to downplay that a bit, as things went on. I think it was always more about playing better in general, not necessarily only on the road. But, boy, it had to be a tremendous relief. I mean, you have to go back, obviously, more than a year to the last time they won outside of Nissan Stadium. That's 9 straight on the road, and it's 10 straight outside of Nashville if you include the Baltimore game in London as well. That has to, whether coaches or players, want to talk much about it or not, that has to work on you. That has to be in the back of your mind. So when you can not only get a road win, but do it against such a very powerful opponent, do it after such a crummy start, and do it after suffering 2 major mistakes in the fourth quarter and still coming back for that victory, I think that has to be a huge confidence boost for these guys.
One more question, kind of a quiz question, but it's just a kind of a fun thing. Marcus Mariota, Jake Locker, trying to think off the top of my head, VY, and now Will Levis. Who has the best arm talent of those players? Didn't say who was the best player. Who has the best arm talent as a quarterback?
Interesting. I'm gonna go with recency bias, and I'm gonna say Will Levis. And maybe he doesn't necessarily win when you line everybody up and say chuck it as far as you can, because they're amongst those guys that you mentioned. Certainly we know VY could chuck it pretty well, and even Jake Locker could throw that.
But also off of different platforms and not having your feet set and just.
Yeah, but I think the success that what we is what we have seen throwing downfield more than anything with Levis. You look at last night's game, for instance, and I think again I don't have my stats right in front of me, but I want to say it was maybe 7 completions again of more than 20 yards, and I think of passes he threw downfield over 20 yards, he hit on 4 out of 5. So it's not only having the big arm, but it's being accurate with that big arm. And the Titans have needed those big chunk plays for so long. It's so difficult to just kind of nibble away on drives time after time after time. You need to hit on those big plays every so often. And when we saw the big one to DeAndre Hopkins there in the first half, the 45-yarder, and then another one, that 36-yarder kind of jump-started the winning touchdown drive there right at the end. And you think about that dime that he dropped on Tajay Spears, that I think was about a 30-yard game too. So the arm strength is very impressive for Will Levis, but I think you have to add in the fact that he's been so accurate with that arm strength, and that kind of separates him from some of the other guys we were talking about.
JG, good stuff, man. We know it was a long night and emotional time for a lot of people after what's been going on around here with storms and with Frank and everything. But we appreciate you joining us today to give your perspective on a wild game last night. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, yes, sir. Follow him at Glennon Sports on Twitter or the Nashville Post. All right, we come back. Just how good was Will Levis in the final 4 minutes and 34 seconds? Just how good was he? I can tell you. I'll give you the numbers.
In Titans history?
Well, no, just how good was he in the last 434, like stat-wise. It was pretty amazing. We'll share that. And back to the phone, 615-737-1045.
30 seconds to go. Tunga Vailoa on the ball. Looking, in trouble, trip. Sing! Yes! Oh, hell yes! Oh, my goodness, Harold Landry!
Oh, Landry.
The celebration was on. Landry, that knee continuing to strengthen. You don't just come back the next year and you're 100% after a knee surgery.
I know Bananas knows. How many sacks does Landry have right now? You better hurry, start typing.
Oh, I don't know right now. I know he had 3 last night, though.
I know, man. They said he's on pace to get 11 or 12.
Yeah, he'd have to be.
There's the I don't know.
While Bananas looks that up, feverishly types, Will Levis in the final 4:34 of last night's game was 9 of 11 for 132 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
9 of 11 and these were long, difficult. These weren't all just like pitch and catch. They were long.
I don't understand what the
throws.
Dolphins were doing during those 2 minutes.
I was hoping you could tell me.
I have no idea.
Okay.
And Vic Fangio, he's an elite level DC. Been around a long time. I was stunned, and they looked flat. Like they felt like they couldn't stop the Titans. That's how they looked. I was just like, what?
And they stopped the run, but they got victimized by the pass.
Which is with those 2 corners, things that make you go,
Mr. Harold Landry, the third.
Is it 8?
8.5.
8.5.
Woo.
So, do you know how many Danico Autry has?
9.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're both in the top 20.
Yeah, Danico Autry's about to mess around and have 10 sacks in his
contract year.
10th year, contract year, whatever this is.
Everybody just say bye to Danico.
Yeah.
Just say bye, wave. Say, good coming. That she gonna come back on a 1 year.
I mean,
deal. They're not gonna sign him back. If they do, I'd be stunned.
He's still playing like this though.
He blocked a kick last night.
12 in his career. You know that? I heard Lucas.
That's his 12th block?
That's what Lucas said this morning. 12 in his entire career. Wow. That is insane.
Let's sneak our man Marcus in here.
Those vets, man. You just never them pass rushers, man. They know the secret sauce.
Marcus knows the secret sauce. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well.
I got a comparison for y'all.
Hit us.
I think Will Levis is kind of like a better Tim Tebow. What do y'all think?
I mean, he's got the emotions of a Tebow,
right.
Yes. But
arm talent way off the charts compared to
they're
Tebow.
different humans from a standpoint of pro football prospects. Yeah.
But it's his personality, I would agree with
and
the
his
call.
jackedness.
Yeah,
yes.
his jackedness and those veins popping.
Yep.
Yeah. And see, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I love it, but to a certain extent, we got to pipe it down a little bit at the quarterback spot. I want my linemen, running backs, D linemen, DB, all the others except a quarterback. I get it. He may have a lot of frustration, built up, and he understands what he just did there, and he may not have understood that was a record for a first rookie quarterback to do something like that, but in the yardage and everything else, but he knew what was at stake. He'll never forget that game. His first Monday night game, and to go through the ups, downs, and ebbs and flow of his play, and then to finish like that shows you his mental toughness is already there. So, and he believes in him and what he's doing out there, and the coaching staff support and what they're doing. And so, man, I think the sky's the limit. That, we want to be, I'm being critical on that. That, it really doesn't matter here or there, his emotions. But got to remember, your biggest strength can also be your biggest weakness. Mm-hmm.
Would y'all like to hear
Never forget that as an athlete.
Would y'all like to hear what DeAndre Hopkins said about Will Levis following that game?
I'd like to.
Oh, sure.
To Cameron Wolfe, this is what DeAndre Hopkins had to say.
I saw a dog out here today. That kid is going to be great, man. I'm always in his ear trying to help him, read defenses and be better. I know he still got a lot in his tank. I know he can improve, even though, he came out here and beat these guys today. But I'm going to still be on the Monday when we go back and let him know that there are certain things that he can improve on. But, man, Will show heart. Man, I love competing and playing with him.
Mm-hmm. That is no question. He summed it all up there. And that's how his teammates feel. So, yeah.
That dog.
He got
you do
that
an X-ray,
dog.
there's a dog in there.
Yeah, he got it. So you better get on and latch it up and put all them dogs on the same leash.
100%.
Yep, so you better get on for the ride.
Get on this. Zone TV. Remember, you can watch all your favorite shows there. You can download the Zone app and just take us everywhere you go. Just search 104.5 The Zone in the App Store. And, of course, if you missed anything today or any day, wherever you consume your favorite podcast, consume us. We're there waiting for you. Anywhere. All platforms.
I just saw James Franklin on TV. Just think James Franklin wouldn't even let him throw the ball. Just think
How you like me now?
So in the meantime.
In between time.
Peace.